I'm Steve Walker-Duncan, and I'm on a quest. As a professional chef for 25 years and an instructor at the Camosun College Culinary Arts program, I truly believe we have some of the best food in the world right here on the West Coast. Join me in discovering some of these culinary treasures. This week I'm feeling a little crabby. We're here on the Olympic Peninsula. We're just across from Vancouver Island in Port Angeles at the 9th annual Dungeness Crab Festival. For 2 days in October, the small town of Port Angeles goes crab crazy. The annual Dungeness Crab and Seafood Festival is a celebration of local food. But the star of the show is definitely the tasty local crustacean named after the nearby village of Dungeness.
This is really the ancestral home of the Dungeness crab. This is where it was named for the town of Dungeness, just a few miles from here.
For you personally, what really is it about the Crab Festival that really gets you going?
Well, this is first of all about the food.
Yeah.
And it's about Olympic Coast cuisine, about celebrating the food that we have in the salmon, the oysters, the mussels, and also the farms we have. We have over 40 organic farms. So our crab dinner has Sunny Farms corn, Nash's organic coleslaw, and it's really about creating awareness of food out here, which has been lacking. It's not as well developed as in Victoria and Vancouver Island. So that's what we're really promoting.
The weather might have been wet enough to make the crabs feel right at home, but it didn't stop the crowds and me from having fun. First stop, the crab hat stall. A bit of artistic adjustment. We chefs know it's all in the presentation. Ah, that's better. Now I can blend in with the locals. Inside the giant marquee at Crab Central, locals and visitors line up, waiting patiently to enjoy their crab dinners. Meanwhile, outside the tent, teams of volunteers toil over huge vats of boiling water to keep the hungry crowd satisfied. And barrels of fresh crabs sit waiting for that pot.
Well, we're going to go through over 7,000 pounds of crab that are caught fresh from the waters off the straits and into the crab pot and onto the plate, which is the only way to eat crab. Even 2 days old, it doesn't matter. It's got to be right there. And most people have really not had completely fresh crab.
Straight out of the water.
Straight out of the water. We already have people from all over the world. I've met people from New York City, from Denmark, from Montana, who are coming here to taste fresh crab.
Port Angeles sits on the Olympic Peninsula, an area of outstanding natural beauty. In fact, most of the peninsula is taken up by the Olympic National Park, a World Heritage Site. You can explore the miles of beaches, visit the famous Hoh Rainforest with its 500-year-old trees, or gaze across the distant Vancouver Island from Hurricane Ridge, high among the peaks of the towering Olympic Mountains. The area is the scene of an unusual restoration project. 2 dams across the Elwha River are to be demolished and the habitat restored. A real victory for conservationists and the local First Nations who have campaigned for many years.
I've had a lot of the elders and my families and my parents really explain and tell us about how big the Chinook runs were in the earlier 1800s and 1900s. Up. And when these dams were built in the 1900s, it started depleting some of the runs through.
It just stops them in their
It
tracks.
stops. I mean, they're hitting their head against the wall basically. When we go up there and really observe what's taking place up on the dams itself, they're just bumping their heads against the wall.
Wow.
And it's a concrete wall. We have 2 dams, and they're going to start taking them out in February of 2011. It's been a lot of work, a lot of commitment, not only from the locals, but from all the way up to Washington, D.C. It's not just for the tribe, it's for the environment.
Yeah.
And the environment is an important issue around here. I'm staying at the Inn at Rooster Hill, a cozy B&B in Port Angeles, and I discovered they're working to become as green as possible.
We started 5 years ago, and we weren't real green then, but it's as we come down the pike, we're getting things in and sorted properly at the recycle centers. Our wet waste does not even leave the property. It goes into a container on the property, and it's composted, so we're actually saving a lot of dollars in weight that would go into the landfill.
It's not just recycling. My breakfast turned out to be green as well.
This looks
This is
wonderful.
upside down apple French toast. Apples from my friend's yard, and our sausages from Sunny Farms, which is a local
This looks
store
wonderful.
here, serving organic meats.
So you obviously source a lot of your products, apart from pork and apples, from local sources.
I do. I'm a big believer in not only supporting our local community, but sustainable,
Well, that's right.
that we can find here locally, that's organic, and that's an important thing to me, is the organic issue without the chemicals. And a lot of people think it's really expensive to serve organic and to serve local, when it's really not.
It's
If
not,
you
no.
find your farms, and our local farmers market is where I've made my best connection. So you kind of got to learn to adjust your cooking, learn what's in season.
That's the key, isn't it? Is
Yeah.
to work seasonally rather than expecting to have
Yes.
strawberries all year round,
Yes,
for
you
example.
can't have strawberries all year
No.
round. You can't have watermelon and cantaloupe all year round. So
That's
we
right.
try to work with what we've got.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Well, I am absolutely looking. Do you mind if I try?
No, please do.
This looks
There's some
fabulous.
organic maple syrup too from Sunny Farms.
And organic maple syrup. Oh. That's delicious. And it actually tastes like pork.
Isn't that amazing?
I think it's the way of the world these days. If you're not going that way, you're going to be losing a rapport with our customers. Our customers love to know that we're green and, and that we're handling everything around our facility in a green way.
One of the local pioneers in organic food production is Nash's farm in Squim, where I met up with Nash Huber.
Tell me about the farm. It's 100% wholly organic?
So we've got about 400 acres that we farm 100% organically. We were the third farm in Washington State to certify organically, and we've been certified organic, I think, since the late 70s. So what's that, a little over 40 years. My people have all been farmers on both sides back in many generations, and essentially that's the way they farmed. It's what I knew. My background and training was in chemistry, and I had worked in the food industry. And so I understood what was going on in the food industry and what was going on with farming. I understood the chemistry behind it all. And it was the real reasonable thing, you know, in response to what I saw happening in the food industry and in agriculture.
How do you see the future of organic farming? I mean, I think that the groundswell is moving towards organic growing, but realistically speaking, is there a future in organic farming?
A lot of the materials being used in agriculture now are fairly hazardous materials. They're not good for your health. They're not good for the health of the soil. Health care is a big issue in everybody's mind, at least here in the United States, and I think around the world. The only way we're really going to solve that problem is how people eat and how they take care of their bodies, whether it's personal responsibility or not. And so what you eat determines how healthy you are and how you take care of yourself and the kind of exercise you get. The quality of the food you eat is really important. It's probably the most important thing you put in your body.
Not everything here is green. Many recent visitors are looking for something a little darker. Vampires and werewolves. The area has become famous as the setting for the Twilight novels, and a whole new industry has sprung up to give visiting fans something to get their teeth into. before leaving, I have an errand to do. I need to pick some fresh crab for this week's recipe. Time to try my hand at the crab derby. I'm not entirely convinced there are any crabs in there. Okay, here I go.
There you go, look at 2 of them.
Oh, hey, I got one.
A free one.
And there's a whole team waiting to dress it for me. Mission accomplished. It's time to catch the ferry back to Victoria. The Coho has been making this crossing for over 50 years and is a great way to get from Victoria to the Olympic Peninsula.
It's only 90 minutes across, go right from downtown Victoria to downtown Port Angeles. It's really great for day trippers, just going over for the weekend. Port Angeles is the gateway to the national park, the Olympic National Park, so it's really perfect. It's a classic ship experience now and just a gorgeous trip across the water.
And on an evening like this, I have to agree, even the seagulls are enjoying the ride. Well, we're back from Port Angeles and that fabulous crab festival, and I am really excited because this week my guest is from a galaxy far, far away, and I have to admit, I'm a little nervous. Welcome, Lord Vader. How are you?
I am fine, thank you.
We have a little tradition here where we give all of our rookie chefs an apron. May I help you with your apron?
I'd be delighted if you put that on.
Thank you, Lord Vader. There we go. Okay. Right, you're all set. Let me come around the back here. We'll tie you up. There we go.
Fantastic.
You look fabulous. You look absolutely fabulous.
I'm delighted to be here with you.
Happy that you could come. Well, let's put your violin down just back here and we can get you set up. Now, are you okay in your outfit? Are you too warm?
I find it a little stuffy in here and I would like to revert back to my human format.
All right, then. Let's do that first. Randy McKenna, the famous Victoria busker, also known as Darth Fiddler. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you, Steve. I look forward to learning these things from you, actually.
Well, thank you very much
I'm
for
blossoming in my own culinary experience at home.
Awesome.
Keeps you alive, man. So
That's right. 7 billion of us have to do it every day, don't we?
Yeah.
That's right. Well, what we're going to do today, we're going to do a nice little soft crab taco. Because we were down at the crab festival and we just so much beautiful crab, and it's one of our indigenous species to this area.
Oh, great.
So what we're going to do, I'm going to give you these garlic cloves.
Oh,
I'll tell
great.
you what, I'll show you the first. When you take your garlic, just take your knife and just give it a little gentle whack, and the skin will just slip right off.
Gotcha.
And then you can just take it again, and this time give it some.
Let's try the true nature of the force.
Look at that.
Wow.
Look at that.
Chop
So while you're
on.
doing that, I'm going to go in with one of these tomatoes because we
Okay.
need to get this in for our chutney. Get rid of that core there. I'm going to do an onion real quick here. Okay, so we got our garlic all chopped up.
Yes,
I got
sir.
my pan warming up over here. I'm just going to give it a tiny little shot of oil, and we're going to throw in the garlic, and we're going to get that going in there. So this is a chutney. So what a chutney really is, it's about sweet and sour. And we've got a little bit of rice wine vinegar, brown rice wine vinegar, okay, with a little bit of the brown sugar. That's going to go in. Now the vinegar, the acid in the vinegar actually toughens up the cells of the tomato and the onion, so they don't break down. So that's why chutney has that nice texture to it.
Well, now would that make your tomato bits more soft to eat?
They will be soft, yeah, they'll be soft when they're done, but they won't break down into sort of a sauce.
Okay.
So that way we're going to keep a little bit of that texture.
see,
So I'm
yeah,
just going to slice this guy up into a fairly small dice here. So how long have you been playing music?
I've been playing music now for about 20 years.
So
Yeah.
it's your passion, and this is
Oh,
this is a
definitely,
fabulous
yeah.
way to, as an outlet for that.
Definitely, yeah, because what I did beforehand was basically I was more folk orientated, used a lot of guitar, and played in bands, wrote songs, silly songs, but they didn't have the stickiness of my classical music. One fine day I found a Darth Vader hat, one of the old floppy plastic ones.
Yeah.
Put it on, went down there, and the rest is history.
And here we are today.
Yeah.
You're one of the most famous buskers in the city.
Yeah, it was like a ladder to heaven or something.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That is awesome. I'm just going to give our little chutney here a stir. Now you can see that the tomato juice is just starting to release and give us that nice, slightly sweet. Now what I did forget in there is a little salt and pepper. So we always give everything a little seasoning as we go.
Oh man, like you can smell that, like right from here. Beautiful.
And we're just going to let that simmer away there for 20 minutes or so, and that'll be perfect. It's a nice fresh chutney.
Beautiful.
So meanwhile, we're going to get our crab stuff together.
Great.
So I've got a couple of jalapenos here. Now I've already taken the seed pocket out, which is where all the
Great.
where all that heat comes from. So with these ones, same kind of process. If you just rolled them over, or even if you want to lay them down flat, it's a little safer. And then just make long, thin cuts. Perfect.
So you really want these jalapenos in small bits, eh, Steve?
Yeah, we're just going to do this really quick. We're going to do like a real quick saute with these. Throw the crab in just at the end. So this is it's almost a salad. It's almost a salsa kind of thing.
Right.
Perfect. And then we'll do the same with the onion.
Okay.
This time we're just going to go about halfway through with the tip of the knife. And then we can just do that way, and that's going to give us a nice dice on our red onion.
Fantastic, Steve. So like what you actually are doing is controlling your onion, because a lot of the times when I'm cutting onions at home, the damn things are falling on the floor.
Right. Flat side down, nice and safe, nice and stable.
Oh, I'm in such
Nothing's
good
going to go
hands here.
anywhere.
Okay.
I'm just going to flip these guys around so I can.
Next one.
There we go. We'll have that pot forward.
I think I'm falling a little short, but
Not a problem at all. That's fine. That's exactly what we're looking for.
So cool, man. Thanks for that tip.
There you go. There you go. Now, what I'm going to do in this pan, I'm going to get a little bit of olive oil in this one. So just not too much, but enough to really sort of lubricate the bottom of the pan.
Question about temperature when it comes to that
Yeah.
method. What temperature should you use?
This is moderate temp, so medium towards the high end.
Right.
Because again, it's going to be quick. It's going to be, we're going to be in and out of there in a minute and a half.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
it's just get that temperature up to a nice moderate heat. You don't want to see smoke coming off the oil.
No, man, that's
just
right.
have it so that if you put your hand over it, you can just feel the heat coming up off the pot there.
Great.
Okay.
Okay,
Good.
so-
I think that's all the onions we need.
Yeah. So
We can just take the whole chopping board, slide her over here, and just throw everything right into the pan there.
Yes, my commander.
Done, just like that. Again, as always, little seasoning in there. And then we're going to do a little bit of cilantro. So if you want to just grab a little pinch of that, we just have to basically just line up all the stems so they're all pointing in the same direction.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Just roughly. We're going to have nice kind of, it's going to be part of the salady part of
Gotcha.
the
Okay,
component.
yeah, okay.
So just
wanted
nice
to
and
take
roughly.
that.
That'll take care of that one. So our onions and peppers are just lightly sauteed here. No color on them. We've just sort of brought that sweetness out. We've got our crab meat. That's going to go in. And I've turned the heat off in the pan. So that the pan is now just got its residual heat in there. 'Cause I don't want to, the crab's already cooked.
Right, so it's just warming.
Just warming
it's
it
a
through.
fast cooking meat as well.
That's
eh?
right, that's right. And then we can throw in all of our cilantro here.
Okay.
There we go. We'll have yours in there.
Sure thing.
Perfect.
Okay.
And then we just bring that together.
That's
And
looking fantastic.
again, very fresh. Nothing complicated there. Just keeping it nice and clean. And then we're just going to get our taco shells ready. I'll put that heat back on there. I've got this one already warming. See our chutney over here is just the tomatoes just starting to break down. And that's just going to give us a real nice punch of flavor. It's
Wow.
going to go over the top of everything.
Wow,
Just gonna-
Are those spicy tortillas?
No, these are just a plain corn tortilla.
Wow.
And just again, you just want to cook them just so they start to see how they start to bubble.
Right.
They just start to open up a bit. You don't want to make them crispy.
Right.
Okay. There we go. And that's just about us ready for plating. This really is, I told you, a real quick.
It is quite
Quick
an
dish here.
artistic spectacle indeed. Okay.
So then we can bring these guys up onto our plates. We'll just sort of straddle that in the middle.
That's really nice.
And then we're just going to take a nice spoonful of this beautiful crab meat here. And just,
Wow, that crab smells alive.
isn't that fabulous? Isn't that fabulous?
incredible?
Perfect,
Yeah.
perfect. Okay, we
Beautiful.
can throw this guy back over here. Now over here I've got a little bit of, this is mustard greens. Now mustard greens, they kind of look like lettuce, but if you taste them, they've got that little bit of kind of a wasabi little kick to them,
They do.
which just gives it that little bit of punch. Once again, we're just trying to build some really nice fresh flavors into this dish.
Interesting.
So we just take a little pinch of that, and that's just going to sit on the top there. And then we go over, we've got our chutney here. And we're just going to spoon a little bit of that over the top.
Do you kind of want to get the liquids out of it and have
A
more?
little bit. I would normally let this reduce a little bit longer, just to sort of firm it up a bit. But for our purposes, that's going to work no problem at all. Little piece of fresh cilantro on the top. We've got a little bit of chopped scallion here. We can throw a few of those on just for a little extra.
Isn't that nice?
And there we go.
That's
nice,
beautiful,
fresh
man.
fish crab taco.
Yum,
Absolutely
yum, yum.
beautiful. I find if you kind of roll it and leave it open at the top, and just bring the back in, and that way you hold the back end closed.
Back. Of
So
course. Oh, you're
and then it
a
doesn't all go
genius.
flying out.
Yeah, because as you can see, like you get a little bit of spillage here. So
Absolutely.
what you want to do is cork that off and
We're ready to go.
ready to go.
Good to see you.
Incredible.
Absolutely delicious. Although I say so myself, nice and fresh, light, easy to put together. What do you think?
I love it.
Awesome, Randy. An absolute pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you, Steve. It is good.
And there we have it. Some of the flavors of the Crab Festival at Port Angeles. Do you want to know how to get rid of that horrible smell of garlic off your fingers when you've been working with it? Well, the quick and easy way is some regular table salt, a little bit of it into the palm of your hand, about a tablespoon's worth, a little drop of water just to make it into a paste, and then just rub that into your hands. And that will get rid of that garlic smell. Do remember to moisturize afterwards because, of course, the salt is hygroscopic and it will draw the moisture from your skin. Okay, so we're back from the dark side. Here we are with Mr. Phillips, Liquor Plus. What are you going to do for this beautiful soft crab taco?
Well, the emperor of the evil empire would be really upset at me if I didn't pair this properly.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So what I've got is I've got 3 wines that really, I love soft crabs. And there's a sweetness to it. There's just a freshness. It's like living on the West Coast sitting in your backyard.
It embodies it, doesn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. So we've got the Averill Creek Pinot Grigio. I've got an unoaked Chardonnay, which I think is more relevant to a soft crab than, say, an oak Chardonnay.
Yeah.
And I've got a Pinot Noir from Casablanca, Chile, which is kind of West Coast.
Yeah.
Just West Coast of Chile.
That's right.
That is also organic. So let's go right into the Averill Creek.
Averill Creek. So again, just up the road.
That's right.
Just up in Duncan there.
And you'll notice right off the nose, there is a lemon citrus
That's
right
like
off the nose.
Powerful, isn't it?
It is. It is. Now, the freshness of it, that crisp acidity, that almost tartness.
It's perfect for this
Absolutely.
kind of thing.
So the Prospect Winery also does this unoaked Chardonnay, which we have here. And the unoaked Chardonnay has a more of an apple. Think of apple, a little bit of cinnamon, but it's a fresh green apple.
Right.
That's where this comes in. Now, can you picture that?
Picture
Wrap
it.
that up.
I can
Oh,
taste it.
there you go.
That's going to be an awesome pairing with that.
Isn't that great? Now, I'm going to go with this Pinot Noir. This is the Emiliano Reserva Pinot Noir. It comes out of Casablanca, Chile. And it is probably the best Pinot Noir on the market right now for the price.
Beautiful color.
Isn't it? And there's an elegance to it. But this would go so well with those crabs because there's that underlying earthiness that brings out the freshness, that sweetness of the soft crab.
That's a gorgeous wine. I can see you're enjoying that. Rod, as always, fabulous job.
Cheers.
Thank you very
Happy
much.
to do it.
From Flavors of the West Coast, may the force be with you.